get it? Go ahead and read.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it.
Now, this is going back to what we were reading earlier. You know, Nebuchadnezzar came up against Jerusalem and he besieged it. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand.
Go ahead.
With part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God.
Go ahead.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God.
Now, you know, Nebuchadnezzar, he carried the vessels into the house of his God. And then later on, as we read in Chronicles, he came down and he destroyed the temple. Go ahead and read.
And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes.
Go ahead.
Children of whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge,
Go ahead.
and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
Go ahead and read it.
And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat, and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king.
Now, these were among the captives that was taken out. Go ahead and read on.
Now among these were of the children of Judah, Daniel.
Daniel was one of them that was taken. Go ahead and read.
Hananiah, and Mishael, and Azariah.
Now, you know him as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but I just want you to understand, first of all, that Daniel was among those that were taken captive. Now, let's go over to the 9th chapter of Daniel, and that 70 years was almost up, and Daniel was praying to the Father. And he's going to let them know that, you know, them curses, Lord, that you pronounced by the mouth of Moses, these curses have come up on us as you pronounced them against us. Let's start reading at Daniel 9 and pick it up at verse 1. 9 and 1. Go ahead and read.
In the 1st year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the 1st year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he will accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem.
So now Daniel said, I understood by reading the book of Jeremiah that Israel will spend 70 years in the desolations. Go ahead and read on.
And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplication with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God and made my confession and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him and to them that keep his commandments.
So now, remember now, Daniel is one of those that's down there in that Babylonian captivity. And look at what Daniel's going to say as he's praying to the Lord. Skip down to verse 8 and continue reading.
O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face.
Now he said, O Lord, to us belong confusion of face. This was many, many years after the Lord pronounced these curses against Israel by the mouth of Moses. And look what Daniel said, O Lord, to us belong confusion of face. Go ahead and read.
To our kings, to our princes.
Go ahead and read.
He said, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee.
Go ahead.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgivenesses, though we have rebelled against him.
Now Daniel is praying to the Lord. He said, you know, we done sinned against you, Lord, and you know, to you belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against you. Go ahead and read on.
Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God.
And we have not walked in the voice of the Lord our God and obeying his laws. Go ahead and read on.
To walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets.
Go ahead and read.
Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
See what he's saying? All Israel, they have transgressed your law, Lord. Go ahead and read on.
Even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses.
He said, therefore, Lord, this stuff came up on us because that curse that was written in the law of Moses, it has come up on us. Now, some many hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years later, that curse that you pronounced by the mouth of Moses, it has come upon. That is why Nebuchadnezzar came down and destroyed the city and destroyed the sanctuary and took us into captivity. Because that curse that you pronounced all them years ago, they have now come upon us. Go ahead and read on. What verse are we?
It is the end of verse 11.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
He said, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
Now, skip down to verse 20. Go ahead and read it.
And while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel.
Now, Daniel said, I was speaking and I was praying, I was confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel. Go ahead and read.
And presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God.
Go ahead.
Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I have seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding.
Go ahead and read.
At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision.
Go ahead and read.
70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city.
Go ahead.
To finish the transgressions and to make an end of sin.
So now he's giving them this prophecy because Daniel wanted to know what's going to happen to Israel and what's going to happen to Jerusalem. Now he says 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon the holy city to do what? Go ahead and read.
He said, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity.
Go ahead and read.
And to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy.
Now, and we're not concerned with all of that today. We are just concerned with the people of Israel and with the city of Jerusalem. Go ahead and read on.
Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem until the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times.
So now what the Lord is telling Daniel is that the city going to be rebuilt, Daniel, and the temple will be rebuilt as well, but he's going to let him know it's going to be destroyed all over again. Because why is that going to happen? Because when Israel get back in the land after these 70 years, they're going to go back right back in there and start doing the same old dumb stuff that got them kicked out in the first place. And if you go and read Ezra and Nehemiah, that is exactly what they did. Before they can get put back in the land good, what were they doing? Breaking the Sabbath day, weren't they? And Nehemiah had to jump him about it. He said, man, don't you know if y'all don't get away from this gate, I'm going to come down there and lay hands on y'all. Don't you know we got in trouble because we broke the Sabbath in the first place? Now here y'all back in the land doing the very same thing. Just got back in, wasn't even finished building the city of the temple yet. Just step back in the land. Soon they step back in there and start doing the same old stuff. Well, God said that if you mess up, he told you what he's going to do, didn't he? I'm going to destroy the city, I'm going to destroy the sanctuary, and I'm going to send you into captivity. So now he's telling Daniel here, he said, you know, the city going to be rebuilt, but notice what he's going to tell them. It's going to be destroyed again because God knew once they got back in there, they were going to start that same old dumb stuff all over again. Go ahead and read.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
Now he said, Jesus, who is the Messiah, he going to be killed. Go ahead and read on.
But not for himself.
And he will not be killed for himself. He would be die for the sins of the people. Go ahead and read on.
And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
See what he said going to happen? He said, now you're going to rebuild the city. You're going to rebuild the sanctuary. But the Messiah going to come. He will be anointed. He will be cut off. And the people of the prince, they're going to come again, and they're going to destroy the city, and they're going to destroy the sanctuary. Because you ain't got sense enough to go back in the land and start obeying my commandment. Therefore, these curses, they will be poured out upon you again. Let's go and look at it. Let's go first to Ezra chapter 1. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Ezra 1, and we'll begin reading at verse 1. Now, this is when they went back and rebuilt the city. The book of Ezra and Nehemiah is dedicated to Israel going back, rebuilding the city and the sanctuary. We're going to just read a little bit of it, just enough to let you know that they did go back and rebuild the city, and they rebuilt the sanctuary, and Israel got over there and messed up again. Then we're going to go and show you how the Lord, once again, he going to keep his word. You know, he kept it against the 10 tribes, didn't he? You know, they started sinning. What did he do? Sent them down there and took them into bondage right by the hand of the Assyrians. Then Judah messed up. What did he do? Sent down and took them into bondage by the hand of the Babylonians, didn't he? Now they done got back in the land and rebuilt the city, rebuilt the sanctuary. As soon as they got back in there, they started sinning against God all over again. So that is why the Lord said in the book of Daniel, he's going to destroy the city and the sanctuary again. Start reading at Ezra 1 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled.
Now he said, the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. Everything that